Glad to have you back. Now, as political parties prepare for the September the 22nd governorship election in Osun State, major political parties there have had their primaries and produced different candidates, of course, for the forthcoming election.
Senator Ademola Adeleke is the flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party after winning with just 7 votes against his closest rival in the party's governorship primary. The All Progressives Congress has produced Gboyega Isiaka Oyetola as its candidate for the election.
Another party, that's the Social Democratic Party, also produced 2 separate candidates from factions within its ranks. And as the day draws near and the race gets more fierce to succeed incumbent Governor Aregbesola, the question here is, who will eventually emerge winner of the Osun State governorship election? Of course, we know that there will always be so many activities before the election day proper. We still have Dotto, of course, with us in the studio. First off, let's look at the candidates. The emergence of Gboyega Oyetola as the candidate of the APC, the adoption of direct primary, and other developments really before it got voted as their candidate. Okay. Were you impressed?
Yes, I was, because anything that has to do with the constitution of either the political party or the nation is something to jubilate about. And the constitution of the party agrees to direct primary. I'm talking about APC. Though, before the primary, you know, some candidates have come out to say they were not totally comfortable. Because at the end of the day, in any government, the chief of staff to the governor is usually the most powerful. He's the one that coordinates activities in government. And
he knows the entire government.
He naturally reaches out to people. So when you have a man like that contesting in an election and he's saying that he's comfortable with direct primary, then all of them had a cause to be worried. So I think majorly the people were worried because he was a powerful member of Aregbe government. He has been around for a while. He has never sought a political elective position. So these are some of the things that actually came together that
he was seen as the anointed candidate of the
governor. Of course, that's what will happen.
That's
what will happen. And he was also said to have got the backing from Lagos, because by extension, a number of people said the party leader, the national leader of APC, actually anointed Aregbe. And if Aregbe is favorably disposed towards one candidate, then maybe by extension,
you know where the
Ashiwaju was involved. So these are some of the things that happened before the election. But again, after the election, I'm not sure that anyone had any cause to actually totally talk about rigging within the process. What they've been talking about is rigging before the election. But within the election, I'm not sure anybody had any cause to complain.
Okay, for the PDP, the man they call the dancing senator, Ademola Adeleke, has also emerged as the candidate of the PDP. Now, a lot of analysts have said that his popularity has been growing consistently. Now, putting him side by side, let's look at the Osun people generally now. What would they be demanding from both sides?
Okay, before we talk about, we can't talk about Osun people without talking about the geographical location.
Okay.
Now, when the Osun West Senatorial District had only produced a governor for some few months, who was Isiaka Adeleke, elder brother to the PDP
Exactly,
candidate.
to the dancing senator.
So now, a lot of people were expecting that any political party ideally should actually support any candidate from the Western Senatorial District, which is there and the war and the environment. But now it didn't happen in the case of APC. I think the APC candidate is from Borikpe local government. Borikpe local government is within Osun Central, and Onilola came from Osun Central. So if you look at the permutation, Aregbesola came from Osun East, Ife, Ijesha zone. So if you look at the geographical permutation, then you will say that the PDP, to a certain extent, did the right thing by actually feeding somebody from Ede. And that is going to bring in a lot of sentiment on the day of election. But again, a number of people will still vote for their own candidate. Maybe this person is from a senatorial district. So it's beyond, to a certain extent, it's beyond district where you come from. But we cannot totally eradicate that in the entire process. So I think the PDP has done well by actually
being strategic.
By being strategic in bringing out somebody from Ede.
From the West.
Of course, talking about bringing Ademola Adeleke out, remember that was, in fact, the reason he was, the candidate, the senatorial candidate, to take over the empty seat of his late brother when he died. And we, of course, we remember what happened during the election and how he emerged as a senator, the winner. And considering all this in the build-up to the election, and with the yearnings of some people, we can't see all of them anyway, that the next governor should be from Osun West. You think that the APC has its work cut out for it in the state right now?
I'm not totally sure, because if you look at Osun State, to be sincere, I schooled in Osun State, and I've gone back there several times. The state government and so many organizations have also invited me back there. You discover that infrastructural development under APC has gone far, far beyond where it used to be.
Absolutely.
Aregbesola changed practically the face of Osun when it comes to education. But there was a monster he was unable to tackle, and that was the monster of poverty, that lack of salary emerged the people. Now, an average Osun person, either we like it or not, is poorer than how Aregbesola met them, though the face of the community has been lifted. So when you look at this challenge of poverty, then APC has a very, very serious work in its hand. Because Osun State is a civil servant-dominated state, no much of industry, though Aregbesola tried to actually industrialize the state by relying on the concept of agric for all, the agric and all this OU. But this has not been able to change the civil service mentality of the people. So if you do not pay salary under any guise in Osun State, either you use the money to build road or use it to do anything, the people are not going to totally love you. And that's what has happened in the last few years of Aregbesola government. So if we are to rely on the popularity of the man when he came on board, if we are to rely on the infrastructural development, go see their average school in Osun State. A university in Benin Republic is not as beautiful as that. But again, the issue of poverty, lack of salary. So it is putting a lot of body, more so that the person now that they are bringing out is part of that government. So in the head of an average civil servant, because this is what happened to Baba Akonde. Baba Akonde lost election. Basically, he was a good administrator. He lost election basically because he offended the civil servant. And he was not calculative enough to know. Even at that point, what he was doing was right. He sacked some staff who were who were not relevant to the system. He was asked, the government was asking them at a point, what were you teaching? Physical and health education. When last did you go to class? Many of them could not answer. So he sacked all of them, but because of that, they came against him during the 2003 election. So when you consider this, then you will know that APC...
Yeah, but in Osun State, we understand from the reports we also got that the state government partnered with some private sectors to come up with part of the industries you're talking about, part of the transformation you're talking about was the issue of partnering with private sector. And these private sectors employed some of the indigents, which certainly created some level of employment. And then in the area of education, the all-meal and the other, the all-meal package, which provided food for students, also created employment for people who were into agriculture and all of that. Now, like you said, that the people understand that the governor has done this and has done that and has done that. Osun people, are they not sophisticated enough to understand that? When you're talking about poverty, where we were and where we are right now, we're seeing signs that things are changing. Wouldn't that make them understand that the governor is on the right track?
Yes, yes and no. Okay. No, because you cannot, there's a mentality. Okay. And the mentality is civil service mentality, which I mentioned earlier on. If the Yaoloja is making 2,000 naira per day, and the headmaster is not receiving salary, then by extension, the sales of the Yaoloja is going to drop, because either we like it or not, it's a civil service-oriented state. But having said that, when a government tells you that it's creating job, Mike, write this down. Don't totally believe the government, except you see it. This is the kind of job they create, especially some of these people in the Southwest. They will tell you, PDP, APC, and all of them, they will tell you that we have employed 20,000 people. You will see 20,000 people actually line up. You will see them. But at the end of the day, what is their take home? When you employ somebody and you pay a graduate, and you pay, they were doing it in Akure at a point. They were traffic warding. And they will create the impression that these people are actually working like last mile in Lagos. But you and I know that last mile in Lagos is from perhaps one ministry of transport, and they are on the payroll of government. They get promotion. But these guys are just recruited and they are being paid 10,000 naira every month. And the government is coming on television to tell you that they have created jobs. So if a government tells you that it has created job, we need to ask for that question. What kind of job did you create? Is it the kind of job that will make people to rise beyond the poverty line?
Or the
kind, yes, or the kind of job that will further dip them into poverty? I think some of this issue also played out, in all honesty, in Osun State. Many of those people who you think actually had job, how much was their take home? Then again, the government started, I don't know how far they went with it. They started this concept of direct buying of agri produce from the people. That would have been fantastic. But the government cannot continue that if the government is not buoyant. Osun State is in serious debt because they use the debt to develop the state. So they have to pay back. And from the source, the one they are owing the federal government is deducting. So it's a little bit. So Osun State
is just facing what some other states, many other states really
the governor was ambitious, but the reality of what he meant on ground did not support his ambition.
Okay, because of time, quickly now, SDP. Not just a candidate, two candidates, two factions in the party. A revived political party is already in crisis in Osun State. Omishore, their candidate on one side, and then Atonda on the other side. How do they move forward?
Now, you know, I just laughed. Now the man Omishore has been around for a very long time. It's not a man to just shave aside and say it's not relevant. It's a man, either we like it or not, who was detained and won election. Right there from prison. People voted him in. But since after that, a lot of things have changed. Now, a lot of innovations have come into governance. You know, Osun State, whether we like it or not, people can see it. Secondly, zone is another factor. Aregbesola is completing his 8 years tenure from Ilesha, from Ijesha, Ife zone, that we like it or not, the East Central zone. Will a man from Ife now also come out and say, I want to do, even if it's for 4 years? The answer is, it is difficult. So when you are talking about SDP is a party that is marketable, but may not be totally acceptable in Osun, not just because they have two candidates, but the homework is not done very properly. I wasn't expecting any candidate. It's just like you are a political party waking up to say, oh, I'm picking my candidate from Ilesha. You know that from the beginning it's not going to work because it will be slapped on other people's
But on the other hand, they could also be banking on the popularity and experience of Omishore himself.
Now we need to look beyond experience.
One faction.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, one faction.
We need to look beyond experience. There's no doubt about the fact that at one point or the other, experience we can't. But again, I think we should leave this era of experience and talk about innovation. Because traditional thinking has always been giving us traditional results. So you may not totally say, this man has been deputy governor, so he has experience, but now you have been deputy governor, the governor comes from your zone. What are you coming back to do? Are you the only person? And if you also look at the fact that, hey, I've not even mentioned this, Erelu Olushola Obada, the former deputy governor, the former minister of state for defense, is also from that zone. Yes. Are they the only people?
Okay, we have to leave it here now. Lots and lots to talk about, but as time goes on, we're heading towards September 22nd, the election in the governorship election in Osun. We certainly will look at all of those as things take shape. Dr. John, leadership and communication strategist, thank you so much for coming on the program this morning. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.